working on a brand new chapter for the Rocket Bunny Corvette. We finished it sometime late February of last year. The paint got super messed up from all the sand and stuff from the production going in and out from Motor Trend, and it kind of ruined something that could have been really, really good. I made a post on Facebook about needing some PPF and if anybody could do it mobile, and I have something very special to share here in just a little bit. Has to do with STEK, and we're going to be doing the entire car instead of just the fenders like I was originally going to. So I am pretty excited about that. Now, we do need to actually get it tuned because this thing still wouldn't go over 80 miles an hour because it was in lip mode because of the coilovers we put on. So we need to address that. Also, I want to try to do that before we actually get the PPF on, or maybe we'll do it after. I don't know. But I got to get it back over to 10/10 and get it tuned. So that's going to be awesome. I'm super excited to start that project. And stay tuned for some informational yet fun videos about PPF. All right. Well, you may be wondering why we are sitting in these very fine racing seats in front of a Corvette. Actually, in back of a Corvette, because we're not in the front. My name is Officer Dan, and I haven't had this car for an entire year, which is where my new friend Stuart comes in. Stuart, who are you, and what do you do here?
What's up, everybody? I'm Stuart Wilson with Artisan Auto Styling, and we've partnered with STEK USA to come take care of our new friend Dan's Pandem C5 Midnight Purple Corvette.
That's a lot.
That is a lot to say. That is a lot to say.
It's even worse to write down on a piece of paper. Now, you're not from here. You
Nope.
do have a little bit of an accent.
Just a little bit.
Why are you here? How did we meet? How did all of this come to fruition?
Good old Facebook.
Dan made a post.
The power of social media. It's wide and far, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not a good thing. In this case, it was a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
I am going to give you guys a little bit of a history on this car real quick. I randomly bought this C5. It's a 97 C5, single owner. It was pretty run down. Saw it on Facebook for $6,000. Ended up picking it up for $5,000. And that was like 3.5 years ago. And then it just sat there. I had no plans for it other than the fact that it was a really cheap Corvette. And everybody's like, Corvettes are the best. And I never drove it. I drove it to my house and I parked it on the side of my house. And it sat there for 2 years.
As all good projects do, right?
As they do. But I knew that eventually maybe someday I would make it into a drift missile or whatever. I sent a picture of it to my friend June, who I think had just built his Pandem Vette. And I was like, look, June, I have one that's almost as good as yours. Or something stupid like that. And June was like, oh, nice. And that was it. Fast forward a couple of days later, and he was like, hey, you want a Pandem kit for your C5? And I was like, what?
I was like, yes, I do.
Yes. I don't know the implications or ramifications of said decision, but yeah, sure, I'll take one. And like literally a week later, a Pandem kit arrived, and then the car sat for basically another year. I think he sent it to me with the intentions of it going in before SEMA in 2020 or 2022, and that didn't happen. I am not a body guy, and this is far above my pay grade. I didn't have any ideas for the Corvette. I didn't have anything. And I just slowly started buying parts, got some Fortune coils, got a radio, subwoofer, pointless stuff, because it's like, all right, well, now that it's going to be a Pandem car, I guess I'm going to make it nice, since all the rest of my cars are shitbox drift cars. And I had no intention of putting it on anytime soon. And I was like, June, I hope you didn't expect me to put this on. And it's still one of 3. I don't think that anybody else has put this kit on any cars right now. So June had his blue one with the $70,000 paint job on it. In that LFA blue.
This is the one that says hardcore on it.
Yeah, that's the hardcore Japan one. And then there's the Spirit of 76 one which was the one that was at SEMA, and that one's silver with all the graphics on the side. So this is the third. And both of the other ones are automatic, so I'm the only one with a manual transmission Corvette with a Pandem kit on it so far. I don't know if they've sold any more in this time period, but we built this as a TV show car for the show that I was on called Runs Good. It was the first episode that we filmed, and we did it in 6 days and then 1 day for paint. Shout out to my guy Will for doing a 3-stage paint job in 1 day.
It's pretty sick.
It's unbelievable.
That's a tall order.
The whole car was a tall order. We did interior, we put a cam in the motor, we did all the suspension, angle kit, hydro handbrake, seats, the kit in 6 days. It was an unbelievable build, but we pulled it off and ended up getting 3rd place. Hence my Corvette belt buckle here, to commemorate the 3rd place excursion.
Fancy hardware there.
But all of that story leads us to why you were sitting in the status seat next to me, is because we drove it from the shop that we built it at to the car show, which was like 4 miles. It was nothing. And then we got in a car show, we got our sick trophy, and then I drove it back here. So maybe 8 miles total. And I was looking at it and I was like, oh, I must have run over some powder or something because it's all peppered down the side of the car. And I was like, that's not powder. Those are all rock chips in this Midnight Purple 3 paint that we had just put on the car. And so I had absolutely ruined the car before I even got to do anything with it other than one car show. And rather than have a one-time use car, I was like, well, maybe we can get it repaired. And I sent it to a detailer guy and he blew through the clear coat on the hood. And then I gave it back to Will and I was like, Will, can you please help me? And he ended up having to repaint 60% of the car.
My God.
So a lot of drama, a lot of stuff. And I didn't want to drive it anywhere else without having PPF. And so I made the post on Facebook saying, hey, can anybody do mobile PPF in Albuquerque? And I was met with, no, you're an idiot. It's not stock, and you have to bring it to my place of business. And the car is like 9 inches wider than a stock Corvette, and I can't get it on a trailer, and I don't want to drive it because it's going to get more rock chips no matter what. And so I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. And then he made a post like, hey, I live in Houston. And I was like, oh God, here we go.
And that's how it works,
Yeah,
man.
and then that's how it was. He was like, yeah, maybe I could do something. And I'm just over here like, who is this dude? And he slipped into my DMs and yeah, slid right on in there. And now he's sitting right on next to me at this shop. This is actually GK STEK USA. This is where we do all of our shipping for all of our parts and stuff. And now this is where we're now going to have a mobile paint protection film install for STEK.
Yep. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be awesome.
So now, when I made the original post, I only wanted the fenders and the side skirts done, and you were like, nah. Why did you convince me to do the entire car?
Well, the car, I mean, in seeing it in person, reinforces even more exactly why the car needs PPF on every panel. Not only is it extremely wide, but the Midnight Purple 3, like that paint job alone is so special and so rare.
And very expensive since we had to do it twice.
Yeah, for sure. So trying to, make a little bit of a lemonade out of the lemons that you've been getting here recently and save you from future woes. If there was ever a car that's like, hey, this really deserves a full PPF job, it's definitely one of these.
Plus, on top of all of that, I do intend to bring this to the track and actually drive it like it should be driven. Even though it's just a cammed LS1 on now 315s. I'm probably going to have to put different wheels on it and some 900 millimeter spacers, but I do want to slide this car at some point. So for me, having that pepper spray coming off the tires would have been even worse than just driving it on the street. So I want to drive it on the street. I want to go to Cars and Coffee. I want to use the car for what it's for, and I want to go slide it at the racetrack. And what better way to do that than PPF? And when I started mentioning that to him, he was like, yeah, you need to do the whole car. And I was like, man, all right, I guess that's what's going to happen. And then he was like, yeah, my dudes at STEK, let's give them a call and see if they want to do anything. So they jumped on board. And then this became a project instead of just getting PPF done, which is the crazy part about the internet because, again, here we are about to PPF this thing. Now, we're doing PPF in 2 different styles, I guess. We're doing some thicker stuff on the fenders, and then the rest of the car is going to be some thinner stuff. So what I'm saying is you got options. If you wanted to do the whole car in is it 10 mil?
Yeah, there's a 10 mil thick film, yeah, for sure.
You could basically be like Killdozer. I probably can't even say that. Just drive through a bunch of buildings. No, that would be the ultimate in protection if you got the 10 mil stuff on there. And then the other one is 6? 8.
It's 8, yeah.
That was 2 mil off. That's the story of my life. So you can get a thinner one. And what are the main purposes for those two? Is it like for off-road use and then for just street car stuff?
Yeah, so you kind of have to pick your battles with where you go with the thicker stuff and the thinner stuff. The thinner stuff is going to allow you to be more artistic with the install, and the 10 mil material is going to give you a little bit thicker protection. And then you also have the ability to, if we need to stack some film on top of each other to give you even more layers.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yeah, you can layer that stuff up and, problem areas. So your car, we're going to custom tailor a package that makes sense for what you're doing. And so trying to walk that happy medium between, we want the install to look pretty, but we also want to give you a level of protection that's going to serve your needs and purposes. Because it's not just a normal road car. You're gonna have a bit more fun, and and we're not just slinging bad ideas out there. I also drift a Corvette with a C6, and that's also
covered. And yours is full PPF.
Correct.
But the difference between yours is your PPF has color in it.
It does.
Mine is going to be just clear so that we can let the beautiful paint shine through. How is that? Is that a new thing? Is that a thing that has existed or has not existed? Is that STEK specific, or how is that even a thing?
It's relatively new. It hasn't been around that long. We're starting to see a shift in the market, looking for materials that are going to give you way better finishes. It's going to look better. It's going to look more like paint than traditional vinyl wrap.
I was going to say, it's got to be deep. It's just a thick layer of clear coat.
Correct, yeah. And so that new technology, they're kind of at the forefront of pushing products that actually perform as advertised, and everybody's kind of trying to imitate them right now and go, well, we can do it this way and we can do it that way, but trying to find a product that actually looks that well and holds up and performs as long as you actually want to.
And putting it on a drift car is probably one of the best tests that you could do.
Yep. It's torture test central, and then you also get to,
bumping and scraping and rubbing.
For sure, yeah, for sure. And so it's definitely a cool way to promote a product and to show just what it can do. And our car's been received really well, and that's a fashion film.
And it does look good. I Googled you.
Thank you.
I had to get my Google on.
Yeah.
Am I going to invite some stranger from Houston into my shop to do this stuff? It's like, all right, I got to make sure he's somewhat legit. And
stranger.
Turns out you were.
I sling plastic, bro.
Yeah, that's man. Because I don't.
Coach.
That's why you're here. Yeah. And you've been doing this for over a decade-ish.
That's about right.
That's awesome.
About 10 years or so.
I haven't done any. I have zero. I have wrapped, put stickers on cars. Mm-hmm. That I could do. Never done PPF. I've never even had PPF on any of my cars. So this is a lot of firsts for me. So I'm pretty excited about all of that in general.
Yeah. Well, you're in for a treat, and thanks for trusting us to be your first.
Hey man, I'm excited. I'm excited that you came in and then was nice enough to invite one of your sponsors in when they're not even somebody that's working with me. So this is a really cool process. I'm excited to learn. And I'm excited to see how this thing turns out, but I'm even more excited to finally drive the damn car.
No, for sure.
It's been way too long.
Yeah, you'll really enjoy it, and then you'll have much more peace of mind when you drive it. And then even washing the car is going to be, more than 50% easier. Yeah, it really does. I mean, it really does clean up so much easier.
I would be terrified to even put a single towel on here and have a speck of dust in there and just.
Yeah, it's like a cheat code, and once you have it on this car, you're gonna really start thinking about like every car that you own. It's like, is this something nice? Is this a dedicated track toy? You're gonna really start to think about where can I apply this in other cars that are special.
Yeah,
or
I've already been thinking, and it's like most of the time you just do the fronts and then like high wear areas. If the fenders stick out, then you just do a little section on the fenders, which I think is more than enough for most cars. Leading up to all of this, the material doesn't come in until Monday, which is fine. It's the weekend right now. You get to enjoy some Albuquerque, have some green chili, maybe go on a hot air balloon ride.
Wow.
The tram's closed. That's the only other thing to do here, so you can't even do that. You can go to Santa Fe and become a hippie, maybe sling some turquoise. You have options. What do I need to do in the meantime to get this thing ready for what we're going to do come Monday?
Gotcha. So we're basically just going to start with our standard paint protection film process. We try to do this on every car. You know how you practice is how you play.
Yeah.
So we treat every car like it's a $2 million.
Yeah, that's totally $2 million.
Hey, but to everybody else, we treat your car like it is that way. We don't deviate and go, oh, this one's cheap, so let's half-ass it.
This is a 1989 240 SX.
Yep.
Who cares?
Treated like a $2 million car as
Nice.
well. So we wash it, we do a decon, and then we try to hand clay bar everything, and that's whenever we get kind of down and nitty gritty and
I've clay barred one time, and I was like, yep, not doing that again.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an art form in and of itself. But
So now what you're alluding to is you're not just a PPF installer, you're a detailer also, because you have to be. So I believe you asked me if I had polished it, and I had said no. So that's what my task is going to be, is to polish this car before we actually get started. So you can go enjoy New Mexico for a couple days, and then me and my buddy Will, who's the guy that painted this thing, who I keep throwing all these unrealistic projects on, and he keeps knocking them out of the park, we'll get this thing polished up and looking primo. And you shouldn't have to clay bar this one, because it's never really been outside.
Correct.
Other than when I drove it and ruined it.
Yeah, so we're gonna let Will take care of his artwork, and so the clay bar, we're gonna leave all that to Will, and make sure everything's Gucci, and we'll make sure that he's happy with his art before we protect his art. Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
I like that.
We keep it looking pristine and pretty, and then once that's done, that's when all the magic happens, and scratches and swirls will be a thing of the past for you, and those will self-heal out just by parking them out in the sun. The car's going to look wet at all times, and then it's going to be very, very hydrophobic, because STEK, of course, has a ceramic coating built into their PPF, which is a pretty cool bonus on top of it.
This is already the coolest car that I probably have in the collection, but now it is going to literally be the coolest car in my collection.
It's going to be pretty
wet
at all times.
I love it, man. Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely. We lost one. Look at that. That's like a drift accident. Every time we make contact, we lose a part.
You're gonna lose a piece. Tie rods flying off. Thanks, man. I appreciate you being here, and I can't wait to see what this thing looks like.
It's gonna look sweet.